Hi everyone. It's been a little while since I've filmed a sit-down video and I've missed chatting with you about books. Today I want to talk about an author who's been my absolute go-to for the last several months, and that is Freida McFadden. Now, I actually discovered her books last summer before life got a little complicated, and honestly focusing on anything positive, especially reading, has been such a struggle for me. Do you want to come? You come here? Let's go, come. We have a visitor. Say hi. You say hi. Oh, it's a good stretch. It's a good one. Where's the baby? It's a good one. I love you. You come. Oh, good baby. A pixie intermission is what we call that. Yeah, that's a good baby. Are you gonna stay? Oh, we're so lucky. Anyway, okay, back to what I was saying. I needed an escape, a break from the constant churn of anxiety, and something to keep my mind from wandering back to the negative. And Freida McFadden's books became that escape for me. I've read 15 of them now, and even when a story isn't my favorite, her worlds are always compelling. There's just something about the way that she writes that's kept me hooked, even when nothing else could. So I've read a lot of Freida McFadden books in a short period of time, and I want to share them in a way that makes sense if you're thinking about diving into her world. So the books I'll mention are also in my recommended reading order. And side note, if you're watching this and there is a book or author that's helped you escape or kept you hooked when nothing else could, please share it in the comments. This isn't news to anyone, but life can be tough even without extra stress. So hopefully you're all in a good place. But if you're not, just know that you're not alone, and I'd really enjoy hearing what's worked for you. So I'll rewind a little bit. I first picked up The Housemaid last summer because I kept seeing it everywhere. I thought, okay, let's see what the hype is about, which often leads me to disappointment, but not in this case. I flew through this one. It's about a woman who takes a live-in housekeeper job that seems too good to be true. And of course it is. The twists in this one had me flipping the pages like my own life depended on it. I couldn't stop there and immediately dove into The Housemaid's Secret and The Housemaid is Watching. These sequels added so many layers to the story, and while I won't spoil anything, they're perfect if you're in the mood for a binge-worthy series that keeps you guessing. Next, I recommend reading Never Lie. This one has an eerie setup where a couple gets stranded in a large estate of a missing, presumed dead psychiatrist during a snowstorm. Naturally, secrets begin to unravel, and the tension really ramps up as you get further into the story. Then there's The Teacher, which I found to have this grounded, almost claustrophobic feel to it that really worked for me. It kept me on edge with its tightly wound suspense and kept me reading late into the night. And on to The Coworker. This one might not have been my favorite, which I did discuss in my September wrap-up, I believe it was. But let me tell you, it left me with an entirely new perspective on office settings. McFadden has a way of taking ordinary situations and twisting them into something unsettling and intriguing. For a darker, more atmospheric read, The Inmate does a fantastic job of pulling you in. It's about a woman who returns to her hometown to work at a prison where someone she knows all too well is incarcerated. The atmosphere is tense and the twists keep you guessing from start to finish. I highly recommend for a fall or winter read, but it's definitely not necessary to enjoy this one. Now, if you're into psychological suspense with a dose of mystery, The Boyfriend will do the trick. It centers on a woman who discovers her boyfriend might not be who he says he is. And even when the twist didn't quite land for me, I was still hooked and excited to pick it up each day. Freida has this gift of keeping you invested in the story no matter what. Then we have Ward D, The Locked Door, and Do Not Disturb, which all kept me glued to the page. Ward D brought a real psychological edge with a hint of medical thriller. The tension was so thick that I could almost feel it in the air while reading. The Locked Door is a mind game. There's a mysterious family history tied to the protagonist's journey, and it unfolds in such a captivating way. And if you're in the mood for a thriller that keeps you guessing, Do Not Disturb is your book. It's one of those stories where you can't trust anyone, which made it absolutely gripping. More recently, I read The Surrogate Mother, The Wife Upstairs, Do You Remember, and One by One. The Surrogate Mother was an emotional roller coaster, diving into the complexities of trust and betrayal while still giving us that signature suspense McFadden excels at. When I started reading The Wife Upstairs, it immediately reminded me of Colleen Hoover's Verity, which I read back in 2021. That made me a little skeptical about how original it would feel, but I later realized The Wife Upstairs was released first. With its gothic, twisty vibe and the protagonist's caretaker role with the wife, it absolutely feels original. And needless to say, it completely hooked me. And do you remember? It's one of those books that lingers with you. It plays with memory in a way that's both unsettling and fascinating. And it's the kind of story you won't stop thinking about even after you're finished. And just last night, I finished One by One. This one's a murder mystery set in an isolated location in my home state of Colorado. It's got that classic whodunit vibe mixed with suspense, and it'll have you second guessing every single character. What I love most about Freida McFadden's books is that they're fast-paced, full of twists, and easy to get lost in. Her stories have given me an escape when I needed it most, a way to quiet my mind and just focus on the next chapter. Even during the toughest moments, I could count on her books to give me something to look forward to each day. It's amazing how a good story can feel like a lifeline when everything else feels overwhelming. If you've been in a reading slump or just need something to pull you in, I can't recommend Freida McFadden enough. Her books have been such a comfort to me, and I hope that they can be for you too. I'd love to hear from you. Have you read any of her books? Or do you have a go-to author that's helped you through a tough time? Drop it in the comments. I'm always up for more recommendations. If you've made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!